So into the zoo today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Haven't been in many a moon. Lovely. Weather was crisp, overcast, not too hot, not too cold. Just a really good fucking day.
Gorge.
Best part of the zoo, in my opinion, the Australian animal section. I'm biased as hell. Love me some Australian flora and fauna. At the Melbourne Zoo, for those of you at home, there is a ground bird aviary that you can walk through, and all the birds are free roam. Got to the end of it, looked up, saw a what was it? It was an egret, and it just had a full whole ass mouse in its beak, and it was like doing the little clacky thing where it like will whip its head, and the mouse is just like flying around in its beak, and then it kind of like gave it a little shake, and I think one of its feet fell off.
Oh my god, you should have found it.
But it like tips its head back and like unhinges its jaw. The whole thing just gone in one swallow.
Oh.
And mortified, was thinking, okay, that's pretty metal. Look down, just an entire buffet of mice in a bowl on the ground.
Oh, well, these are already dead. I was imagining, I was going to be like,
Yeah.
what's worse, being like your neck snapped or, you know, being swallowed and suffocated inside stomach acid?
It was just the Bellagio of like dead rodents buffet on the ground.
Delicious.
I had the exact same thing happen when I was in Japan. At their zoo, there was a kookaburra that just had the mouse in its mouth, you know, for fucking ages. It just chilled out.
Oh, they're pretty lethal.
Yeah, and it's
birds are fucked, dude.
Australia's best export, terrifying birds.
Delightful. Yeah, birds are fucked.
Speaking of fucked, welcome listeners to The Weird Sisters, a podcast about the blessed and bizarre and all the things you are happier not knowing about. My name is Tay, the poultice of lavender, mercury and vinegar to cure what ails you.
I'm Laura, I'm the spoonful of human brew.
And I'm Lacey, a sleigh pulled in the snow by a herd of swans.
Oh, that's nice. But fuck, there'd have to be some big fucking swans.
Yeah.
Huge ass swans.
Or is this a sleigh for like a child? Because a swan could take out a baby. Guarantee it.
I saw a really big swan today at the zoo.
Ooh.
It spooked me. I didn't realize it was there. Big old fright.
You've had an interesting day with birds.
Oh, yeah. Love me a murderous raptor. Old school. 3 very conflicting titles today, ladies.
Yes. Can you guess our topic?
The clock is ticking at home.
Yeah, someone answer us because it's fucking awkward just sitting here silently.
It's Rotten Royals.
Yay! I'm very excited about this one. Did we get asked to do this one? I've forgotten.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Who asked
By
us
who?
to do this?
Unsure.
Oh.
The general public.
Thank you.
But also, there were a lot to choose from.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
All of them.
Oh my God.
All of them are terrible.
Yeah. Fuck. And that's just like the first thing you sort of like zoom to, I think, when you think of royals is like European royals. Fuck, I found some fucked up like Siam and like, oh my God, there's so many. Like a lot of Chinese rulers, messed up.
Oh,
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Love it.
I feel like it comes with the territory of being a royal, just being a little bit nasty.
Yeah, that absolute power kind of absolutely corrupts.
Yeah, but also like totally enamored with oneself and doesn't realize how the outside world actually works. That was a big theme that I found.
Well, who's first?
Tay.
I've got a nasty one for you. He's so nasty. He's rotten. Literally rotten.
Oh my God.
Alrighty.
This sounds amazing.
17th century France.
Oh no.
This is Lacey's forte.
So any facts I do get wrong, I'm sure they'll be fact checked on the spot.
I can do that.
Yes. So 17th century France. People frothed a fad. They loved a fad. The royals were doing it. You best believe everyone is doing it. And I may have found the weirdest fucking fad in history. We'll see.
Does this include every TikTok one? Because I don't know.
Well, so my rotten royal, born 1638, King Louis XIV.
Ooh.
He began his reign at the age of 4.
Oh.
Excellent. Yep.
Though he didn't have much to say on like royal rulings until 1954 when he was formally crowned.
1954.
1654. Yep. Old as balls. See, fact checking. I would say I can't read my handwriting. These notes are typed. But alas. Up until he was crowned, his mother Anne of Austria ran things.
Mm-hmm.
An uprising, which I didn't fact check the spelling, but I did hear it pronounced Le Fon. I don't know. Great start to the segment, by the way. Caused Louis and his mother to flee Paris. But once he was crowned, he decided he'd had enough of Paris and its nobility and fucked off to Versailles, where he built that palace that Sofia Coppola filmed that cool movie in a few hundred years later. So hygiene wasn't really in vogue during the 17th century as much as it is today.
Not with everyone.
No. Well, yeah. The fad is clinging. There's still some OGs around. We'll see.
I think I know some.
So Louis boasted that he'd only bathed twice in his life.
What the fuck?
God.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
It is said it is said that you could smell this rotten royal from one side of the palace to the other.
Oh, the stench.
Yeah. The court itself also indulged in the trend. Today, they'd probably call it the King Louis Challenge. Something stupid like that. Like, my inner boomer is coming out. I'm like, this would be a stupid challenge on TikTok. How long can you go without showering? Hey, if they ate Tide Pods, I'm sure they would do this.
Yeah, fuck. Okay.
Maybe Louis should eat a Tide Pod. Maybe clean it from the inside out. Anyway.
He's not a washing machine.
It's rotten.
Oh, delightful.
So,
yeah, okay.
King Louis XIV, he would request the opening of windows and doors in every room he entered. He knew that he was gross. He knew. So he was like, well, I'm coming, you better air out the room.
Just have a bath.
He doesn't want his subjects to pass out when they had shit to get done. So he's like, just open the windows, just air it out, just breathe through it. It's so gross. So gross.
If you know that people are like passing out because of your body odor, fucking wash yourself, please.
Right? So heavy perfumes, powders, oils, all that good stuff used to cover up the stink. But no one ever thought to bathe. Maybe they just didn't want to. Well, thanks to the church, who proclaimed that public baths lead to sin, premarital sex, and promiscuity.
I publicly bathe, and all of those things definitely are true.
Yes. The common folk soon stopped bathing as well. So no one bathed. Fuck off.
Ugh.
We're all stinking together. So due to the poor hygiene and the poor medical science of the time, doctors only knew humor theory: eat hot chip and lie. So due to all of these awful conditions, King Louis acquired a long list of conditions during his 77-year-long reign.
That's pretty good.
He's really long. He's like the longest reigning monarch or something at the time in France, Europe. He lasted a while despite all of these awful things that I'm about to tell you. So first of all, old mate was almost never conceived. Because his father wasn't super into women, apparently, allegedly, according to maybe some history I read. He was practically forced into bed with the queen, like, yikes, like, get it done. So not exactly sickness related, but seemed as if fate was kind of against this dude from the start. He was bled regularly as a baby to balance his humors.
Oh, God.
For those of you playing at home, let's take a short detour into humor theory. Not as funny as it sounds.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of fucked up.
It's pretty fucked up. So way back when, doctors believed that the body was made up of 4 components: black bile, yellow bile, phlegm, and blood. So cheers to Hippocrates for this leap in medical science. Old mate thought that for the body to be healthy, these 4 components had to be in like perfect balance. And if you're out of whack, your humors probably were too. To put everything back in balance, the bloodletting was like the most popular treatment. So I always thought that like the bile and the phlegm were separate. It's all part of the blood.
Mm.
Oh.
So apparently, this is according to the theory that if you were to have like a pitcher of blood and leave it to sit, it would separate into like a white layer, a yellow layer, and a black layer, and a red layer.
I mean, they could have done that and then been like, hey, it doesn't fucking do that.
Well, the blood does separate it, like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it coagulates and
die.
shit. But like, it does. You don't get like well, I can't remember the word. I was gonna make a joke and it's gone now. Let's move on.
So yeah, so he was balanced many times as a child. This trend will keep going all throughout the story.
Balance it.
He contracted smallpox at the age of 8, which left his face pockmarked and scarred. And then he had measles at 9. So bang bang, the old one too.
Vaccinate your children.
Yeah, vaccinate your children. At 16, he was, quote, abruptly introduced to sex.
Oh.
And his first experience with the flesh was with a girl of unknown social status. Allegedly, she gave him such a severe case of gonorrhea, the doctors thought he would never conceive an egg.
Oh my god, holy shit.
Oh, God.
Spoilers though, he gets his fuck on, he produces his fair share of offspring. He's fine.
Aw, bless him.
Plumbing works. When he was 20, he was struck with a like horrendous fever, suspected now to have been like typhoid. The doctors bled him 9 times, as well as provided thorough enemas and prescribed him tea that made him shit up to 15 times a day.
Oh, he would have smelled so good.
Yes. So doctors were so thrilled when his health improved, because they're like, oh, it was all of the bloodletting we did. Like, obviously, we balanced his humors so fucking good.
Yep.
But I think we all know it wasn't the bloodletting.
Oh,
We fixed him.
God.
How he recovered from that, I have no idea. All of his doctors kind of provided these similar treatments over like the course of his life, like enemas, bloodletting, purging were like their favorites. Apparently, like as Louis is known as the Sun King, he received over 2,000 enemas during his lifetime.
What the fuck? Okay, so
Loves it.
is his
Loves
ass so
it.
clean the sun shines out of it? Where did the Sun King come from? What the fuck?
Well, his name means of God, I believe.
Okay.
Like it's Louis de something French, because I'm really bad at
Do something.
pronunciation. I do not pronounce like any French words in this story. No.
It's not happening. Shall not be done.
Lacey, would you like to fact check me there? I think it is from his.
All right.
This is all eternal.
Carry on. I'll find it.
Okay. All right, we'll come back. We'll circle around.
It's live. After all of these enemas, even though he was getting flushed out regularly, contracted his fair share of parasites. It's a bunch of body friends.
I mean, he wasn't cleaning himself, so
No.
it seems likely.
There's also no refrigeration
Mm,
or like pasteurization. Like everyone's riddled with it. His teeth went rotten in his mouth
Oh.
and were pulled vigorously without antiseptic or anesthetic. Oh, dry sockets.
Dude. Fucking hell.
Okay, the
wrong
fact
with
checker is back.
Mhm.
Horrified at that last statement. But so the word
Yes.
Dieu donné.
Je donne.
Oh, je donne. It sounds like today.
it
No, that's
means
aujourd'hui.
goddess or godly.
Yes. His name means like god-ish. Hence-
Related
oh,
of God.
Yes. No, I did read this. All of this was for naught because he thought that much like the military and all that good stuff at the time, that he was the sun and the world revolved around him
Oh, yeah, look.
because he is of God.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You
We've all made
absolute
that
brat.
mistake. That's what being a teenager is. You think everything's about
Exactly.
you. And then quickly you realize, fuck, it's not. And that's good because I'm a piece of shit.
All right, so we've got dry sockets.
Oh,
Yes, the king experienced something called rheumatism, which is anything that's inflamed and causes a fever.
Yeah. You can often get
Um,
it in the joints.
Yes. So they thought, oh, in order to cure like his rheumatism, we'll like pull all his teeth and get all this stuff out. His doctors didn't really cure his rheumatism. They did, however, cause a small fistula between the mouth and the nose.
Excuse me, explain a fistula to me.
Okay, so we're going to get real familiar with the fistula. Everyone at home, you're going to be absolute experts. You're going to have PhDs on fistulas by the end of this.
Oh.
All right, so essentially a fistula is a passage of tissue, like a tunnel, that leads from the inside of the body to the outside. Or it connects one part of the body to the other when it's not supposed to.
Oh.
So essentially, this infected tunnel of tissue caused pus to shoot from his mouth and like up his nose and vice versa. So there was like a hole in the roof of his mouth that led up into his nose.
Oh yeah, that's fucking bad, dude.
So
I'm gonna be sick a little bit.
So this gave him a rancid taste in his mouth as well as rancid breath. His doctors then thought, probably shouldn't have that, then cauterized the area with a hot iron to close the passage.
And that worked?
It did. It worked on this one.
Oh, well, good for them.
On this one.
But yes, so this oral fistula was not the only instance of such an ailment for King Louis.
I feel like a lot of fucking Louis' problems could be solved by a bath. Louis.
Yeah. He's the stink king.
He's the stink king.
The stinkiest king. So when old mate was 43, he called upon his doctors to inspect his groin. A large lump had formed around 2 inches from his asshole. And everyone was like, oh, God, we can't have this, can we?
I'm imagining gooch area. Does that feel accurate?
Say again?
Gooch area or like...
Yes,
yep, okay.
essentially, yeah. So about, so back.
Between the butthole and the boys, not above the butthole. Okay, cool.
It was around 2 inches outwards from that area.
Great, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Anyway, moving swiftly forward.
So his doctors went to work straight away with their enemas and their teas, all their good stuff, all their snake oil. They packed the lump with poultices to dry out the infection, and eventually started to make incisions to drain the lump, like they lanced it. When all else failed, they turned to their trusty hot poker to cauterize the drained lump. However, lo and behold, medical science had gifted Louis with his own anal fistula.
Oh, fuck.
And this tissue tunnel joining the anal cavity to the outside world absolutely stunk. He literally grew another asshole.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did they give it an enema?
I mean, it wouldn't have a sphincter though.
No,
So
it's just a hole. But it was connected to the anal passage.
So
and then it just came out. Yeah. Now this thing fucked Louis up. Of all the things that have happened to him, this one really did just knock him on his ass. He couldn't ride a horse. He couldn't sit at court. He could barely walk. And the smell that followed him now made his teeth, breath, and gonorrhea dick smell like roses. He absolutely stunk.
Well, he is basically a leaky shitbag of pus. Like, that's what he's become.
But it's okay because he was chosen by God.
Yes.
God doesn't want him on this plane, evidently. He's trying to fucking get rid of him. He's like, no.
He's trying to nerf him. Get him out. Yes. So the Stink King spent his days just in bed. Writhing in excruciating pain, leaking pus and grot everywhere. This is when his doctors are like, might need something beyond us here. Now, 17th century France, doctors did a lot of weird shit, but they didn't cut into things. They poked, they prodded, they gave aggressive enemas, but heaven forbid they actually performed surgery. They would shove a tube up his ass, sure, but anything involving a scalpel? Oh, no, not for us. The dirty work was left to barber surgeons. These individuals performed tooth extractions, bloodletting, minor surgery, and haircuts. Because cutting hair is the same as cutting flesh, right?
They had the knives already, so
yeah, I've got everything ready to go. One particular barber surgeon, named the only French phrase I will say in this whole segment, Charles Francois Felix.
Very nice.
You're welcome. Was called upon to perform surgery on the king. Now, Felix was no idiot. He inspected King Louis and then asked for 6 months to prepare. He's like, I'm not doing this now. You are waiting. I am not.
You can
I
ride
am not
some
going
more.
into this blind. No one wants the death of the king on their hands.
Fuck no.
No. So Felix began to plan the procedure. He spent months using prisoners and like poor countrymen with similar conditions as, for a lack of a better name, like a guinea pig. A lot of them died.
No shit.
But with each one that he fucked up, he kind of was like, all right, I have to do this different. I have to do this different. And he started developing all these like tools to use and getting all very strange and jigsaw with it. But he seemed to be making some progress. During his trials, he designed some new tools. One named the Royal Probe. This was an elongated curved scalpel, like a skinny little scythe,
Oh.
with like a handle. And then he also had this like, it's like a retractor. It's like a thing with prongs, and it's supposed to like.
I think I've seen what you're talking about before, actually.
It's very medieval, and it like is inserted and then like expanded to like hold tissue open or push tissue to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like pair of anguish kind of shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially. So by the time Felix returned to perform surgery, the abscess was 4 finger widths wide.
I'm looking at my hand and I'm so upset.
Yeah. You could like, yeah.
His balls have got to be like in that now.
Yeah, right? Right?
Right.
Oh, that's an image.
If he had a vagina, he would be basically just one cochlea, one hole, whatever you call it for birds.
Cochlea there. Cloaca.
That's it, cochlea.
Cochlea. Yeah, so 4 finger widths wide. This was 100% Louis' doctor's fault. They applied everything in their apothecaries to it, from peroxide to mercury to leeches to vinegar.
Oh, so they just basically ate away at the tissue.
Yeah. And this wound was quite literally gaping. He was gaping.
Anal gape. It's a hot category right now.
So the Palace of Versailles, apart from just stinking, was very like, they kept this very hush-hush. They snuck Felix and 5 other like assistants. Some sources called them apothecaries, like not like the apothecary is in like the place to keep things, but apothecary is like they worked in the apothecary.
Yeah.
Thank you, sources, for confusing me at 11 p.m. last night. So they snuck everyone in, and the only people that were present during all of this was his mistress, his son, his doctors, his minister of state, and Felix.
Obviously, the person that you would want to witness this is the one that you have sex with, naturally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that he is who he is and stinks, and the fact that he had so many mistresses is ridiculous. He had like 3.
Good to be king.
Just can't wait to be king. All right, so the procedure. So once upon a time, fistulas were treated by inserting and feeding a line of like twine or line through the tunnel and back out the butt again. This lets the fistula heal from the inside out around that line, and then you pull it out again.
Okay.
Which I think it's very similar to the way it is treated now. So the way they are treated now, because I was like, I want to know what happens.
How far have we come?
I've come this far. I am not leaving now. I'm not scarred enough. Listening to the sad song again because it didn't hurt you enough. Reading the fucked up article again because it didn't gross you out enough. So basically, it is cut from the inside outwards, like it's cut along the length of it, so it doesn't heal closed. It has to heal open because you want it to heal from the inside out, because if it heals shut and the infection's still in there, it'll just fester.
Okay, I see.
So They don't want the inside part that would be leading into the anal cavity to close. So it's pretty similar to what the procedure was back in the 17th century.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so all of this was obviously done without antiseptic. Wasn't a thing back then. So they laid the king down in his bed, on his tummy. A pillow was propped under his stomach, and each of his legs was held open and restrained by an assistant. Then Felix sat down and began to work.
Oh, Lord.
So this procedure lasted 3 hours. And according to official records, the king did not make a sound.
What?
He
I
told
don't
Felix
believe that.
So he told Felix to treat him like a peasant so his hands wouldn't shake. Now, I also call bullshit. Homeboy didn't have any anesthetic. Whole ass was rotten. His whole ass was rotten from the inside out, and he had just a dude cutting and poking around inside of him. I've had minor surgery without anesthetic, and I was fucking screaming. I'm pretty sure they heard me in France. Like, that's that whole kind of like, the ones who write history are the ones who win it, and like he was probably like, oh, I didn't make a sound. I was strong and I was stoic. I'm the leader of France. Like, no, you cried like a fucking baby.
There's a lot of like things about this particular Sun King that's so strange, like so bizarre, because it seems weirdly like his people do kind of like him, disgusting as he is. So like, I get that people would be like, our king is so fantastic. He's never had a shower, never cried out, never taken a shit, doesn't need it.
But we know the truth. 15 shits a day.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, just I call bullshit. The official records painted the king as proud and brave and good. He was screaming and drooling and passing out like the rest of us, and I'll put my fucking money on it.
Yep.
Anyway, Felix must have had magic hands because King Louis made a remarkable recovery.
Oh, yay.
After a couple... Yeah. Yay. Sure. Good on him.
We don't know anything about his policies at this stage, so let's say yay.
I was like, I breezed over there and I'm like, no. Fistula.
Yep.
Much more interesting.
That's what I give a shit about.
After a couple of follow-up surgeries, and 3 months later, Louis was back on a horse.
What?
Perfect health. Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
Back on a horse. Now, Felix was rewarded with an estate.
Oh.
He was given a title. He was given like a buttload of money. Like the equivalent...
the butt that he fixed. Oh.
Yes. I think it's worth it. The equivalent to today's currency for what he received was $1.8 million.
Holy fucking shit. Yeah, okay.
And he never performed another surgery again.
You wouldn't want to, would you? Feel like that was enough.
Never do it again.
Fair enough. If he's got all that land and money, why would he need to? Now, this wasn't the last France heard of the famous fistula, because the fistula, remember to the very start of my hook, the fistula became cool, became fashionable, became a little bit sexy.
A little bit sexy, huh?
Sexy. People flooded to France for treatment. Even if they didn't have one, they wanted the surgery. They wanted the surgery that King Louis had. They wanted the experience that King Louis had because we love him. The deft, talented French surgeons were the best in the world, and they wanted that shit done. They wanted the royal probe up inside them.
What the fuck?
I know, people are so fucked. It's been so boring back then. There's nothing to fucking do. Public executions and not bathing.
I feel like
apparently.
We're boring now if we're like, you know what? I don't need an anal fistula. I don't need medical things inside me just for the fun of it. I'm
good.
Yeah, I'm very lame by comparison.
Now, one plus side is this whole ordeal actually led to like a breakthrough in medical science in France, and like medical science actually being taken seriously. In 1731, King Louis XV, Buttboy's grandson, opened the Royal Academy of Surgery, which still stands today. And within its halls is a portrait of Felix with the title King Louis's First Surgeon.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that sweet?
Bless.
All that time later. So, in conclusion, despite his run with disease, parasites, and his doctor's Freudian fixation with his ass, King Louis lived just shy of his 77th birthday.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Yeah. What got him? A pain in his leg seized him, and he thought probably should go to the doctors. Doctors thought, hey, you've got a case of sciatica. Nope, turned out to be gangrene.
Oh.
And the infection consumed the king. He begged for release for an amputation, but his doctors were like, we will take your leg, but we cannot save your life. It is said that Louis was disappointed that his dear doctors never prescribed him anything for the pain, and the gangrene killed him.
He really did rot in the end. Fucking hell.
Did he rotted?
He rotted.
Dirty fuck.
Louis, he could have just had a fucking bath. Like,
He could have. He
dude.
could have just fucking gotten in the bath. I love a bath. I love sitting in my own stew. It's relaxing.
I miss sitting in my own stew so much. When you get tattooed, you can't have a bath for 6 weeks afterwards. And I miss it so much. I have so many bath products and I want to use them.
Can't you just like sit with your leggy hanging out?
I'm really considering it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I can tonight. Oh, I kind of want to tonight. Maybe I'll try that tonight.
Fuck it up, just do it.
I'll
Just
make an
have a
attempt.
little Laura stew.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe I'll get a
simple Laura
bucket
soup.
and put it upside down in there and just sit my leg on top.
Oh yeah. Hey,
That could work.
sounds like a plan.
We'll see.
Sources in the notes below, lads. There's a lot to get through, so that's some extra credit reading for you all at home.
Yep, sources in the show
Excellent.
notes from now on. We've changed
Yeah.
it. We're doing it that way. So you can find them yourself and you can read the cool articles and you can see the fucking wild YouTube videos we find.
Enjoy.
So crazy.
Well, that makes it my turn. I want to go next. Lacey, you can wait.
Okay.
I didn't pick a person because I'm greedy and I wanted more. Because fuck royals are messed up, as we've gone over before. They're so fucking wild. So I decided to go and have a look at some of the most insane royal executions. Yeah.
Yes.
Trigger warnings
Oh.
for...
Everything. It's disgusting.
Okay.
Actually, look, it's gory. And there's a couple of bits and bobs with animals in here. But other than that, for once, I'm not that bad, I think. But maybe I've lost sight of what's bad. Maybe I don't know anymore.
4 finger widths of a gaping second asshole.
That's what we started off the pod with.
That's what we started with.
When I'm finished, give me a gauge. Tell me how far above 4 finger widths I am.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, cool. So you have
Okay,
to tell
gory.
me if I'm a fist. Anyway.
Nice.
To kick us off, we will talk about Ale of Northumbria. So Northumbria was a kingdom in medieval England. It was a chunk of both northern England and southeast Scotland, right in the middle. So Ale is the guy who supposedly killed Ragnar Lothbrok or Lodbrok, which is, I have no idea how you pronounce it because every time I listen to anything it's said differently. But he is of Vikings fame, the big TV show. So basically Ale managed to get Ragnar after they'd just been terrorizing England for a long fucking time, Northumbria specifically. And Ale chucked Ragnar in a pit of snakes where he died. And Ragnar's sons were pissed off. So in retaliation, they invaded Northumbria, properly this time, and they put Ale to death via the Blood Eagle.
Oh shit, no, oh my god, okay, yeah.
Yay, it's the best.
Oh, I have no idea what this is.
What?
And
Tay?
Oh, do you know
Lacey's visceral reaction. I'm like, I'm ready.
Sometimes there are things that I'm like, I'm sure Tay's going to know about this, or I'm sure Lacey's going to know about this, and then it's just, I don't know what this is. I'm like, excuse me.
we're a lot
Yeah.
dumber than you think we are.
No, I think it's just that I'm more gross than other people are, and I assume this is normal, but it's not.
See, Mitch is almost up to the Blood Eagle episode in Vikings, and I was like, I'm fucking tapping out. Like, I will go on a 2-hour walk so that I am not in the house when that
Mitch
episode
and I should
happened.
watch Vikings together.
Oh,
I have the first couple seasons on
I-
Blu-ray, still in their fucking shrink wrapping.
Oh my god, what?
I
Do
know.
you isn't it on Netflix though?
Potentially.
Yes, it is.
Every day's a lesson. Never stop learning, kids.
Yeah. Anyway.
Have to learn what this is.
Oh god.
Well,
Okay.
let's begin. So the Blood Eagle is a ritualistic method of execution. It was intended as a sacrifice to Odin because it was performed by the Vikings. So basically, you get your man, your victim, your sacrifice, and you lay him down on his chest. And then you get a knife and you smash it into the space next to their spine on one side and you sever their ribs from the spine. You need a very sharp tool. You need a very, very strong physique to get through them, but it can be done. And then you do that on both sides, and you basically then pull the ribs back through outside of the skin and pull the lungs out from over the top of the ribs to lay on top of the outside of the body on the new rib cage wings that you've created. So the spine and the lovely sacs of lung look like beautiful, beautiful wings, beautiful eagle wings.
That's the most Viking thing I've ever fucking heard.
It's amazing. Now, okay, so there is a lot of inconsistencies in whether or not this was something that was actually done. So like some accounts have Ale dying in a Battle of York that was like around the same time. But also the Bloody Eagle may just be a mistranslation. The historians argue about this shit all the time. Basically, like one of the things that causes them to get really fucked up about it is the Viking like scripture at the time, like the stories and the way that they wrote a lot of their poetry and stuff was like specifically intended to be verbose and sort of like over the top and like not very direct a lot of the time. So it's like hard to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely what they meant, because like blood and eagles were always about war. So it's like maybe they didn't mean that that's what they did, or maybe what they meant was actually when they killed someone, they would then get them on the battlefield before they died or as they were dying and like fuck up their back so that like vultures and eagles would come down and consume the flesh as they still lived. So it could be a bunch of different things, but this is what supposedly is like put around a lot as what they did do as the Blood Eagle. Either way, it all sounds fucked up, especially because supposedly they literally rubbed salt into the wounds the entire time they were doing this.
Oh, yes.
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 I have glorious photos for us this week. They are going on the gram. I'm going to put them up there, or Tay is going to, because I'm going to send them to her and vote responsibility on it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I have many photos, but you can see an illustration of the Blood Eagle this week. But there's another one that I found that is related to this. So AL didn't have this happen to him. It didn't happen to a royal, but there was another torture method known to done by the Vikings that was called the fatal walk. Have either of you heard of this?
Yep.
This sounds very familiar.
Oh, it's really fun. So what they would do, they would slice open your stomach, get a little bit of your intestine, hold on to it, and then make you walk around a tree over and over again.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Just pulling it out.
Just pulling it out. There's a lot of intestine in you as well. It's like meters worth of it. Your small intestine is something like 3 to 5 meters. I can't remember exactly. And then your large intestine's only like 1 or 2.
That's a long walk.
It's a long fucking walk. So they would basically force you to walk around a fucking tree, pulling your own insides out and watching it strung around a tree. Glorious.
Really...
And you can last for hours and hours and hours by being disemboweled. It doesn't kill you straight away.
No, it does not. Gut wounds are one of the most difficult things to die from. It takes a fucking long time. You can last days.
Oh.
It's upsetting. It's very
Yuck.
upsetting.
Yuck, I love it.
So
Yeah.
that's our first entry.
Oh shit.
Yay. We move on to number 2, Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I knew.
So bad.
Yes, bitch.
I know. So Mary reigned over Scotland for 25 years from 1542 to 1567. Basically, to condense a lot that happened, unrest following the murder of her second husband and her subsequent marriage to the suspected orchestrator of his death led to her being forced to abdicate the throne. So she fled to England to what she thought would be the safety her cousin would provide her, Elizabeth I, Queen of England. So she gets there assuming England and Elizabeth are going to protect her. She did not.
So wrong.
So wrong. So wrong. Many, many years
You
before
thought-
Mary had made a claim to the English throne, and when she arrived in England to see her dear cousin, she was basically found guilty of plotting to assassinate Elizabeth and sentenced to death by beheading. So on the 7th of February, 1587, Mary was led to a platform before a gathered crowd. She was blindfolded and knelt before the headsman's block. The executioner asked her for forgiveness, which is a standard thing to do back then. The executioner asked the victim for forgiveness whenever it happened. And Mary replied, "I forgive you with all my heart, for now I hope you shall make an end of all my troubles." And her very final words in Latin were, "Into thy hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit."
Ooh.
Then it got messy. So the first axe blow went into the back of her head. Totally missed her neck completely. Second blow did get her neck, didn't sever her head. The final blow did the trick.
Jesus. Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. But then the executioner held up her hair, well, her head, by the hair, with a "God save the Queen," at which point her head fell out of the wig she was wearing and rolled away.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, that's so brutal.
That's hot.
It's really sexy. It's really
So
sexy.
sexy. So supposedly after her death, her lips stirred up and down for a quarter of an hour after her head was cut off, and a small dog that she owned emerged from hiding among her skirts.
Oh, that's cute.
It is cute. Sad, but it's really cute. So that's Mary. Now we can talk about the Romanovs.
Yes!
Yes!
Oh, what a good segment. This is
Good
great.
segment. Oh
Very
god,
much.
this is so
I hope
sad,
some of these
though.
are unusual and you don't know them, but also they're really fun to talk about anyway. So if you haven't heard about Anastasia Romanov, please go watch the 1997 animated classic, feel good, and then come back here to be fucking devastated.
Guys,
And the sequel.
I had the Barbie doll and the music box,
Oh, yeah, the music box.
and Mum's kept them
Oh, yes.
On your mum.
Love
for
it.
me to enjoy in my future days.
With all those kids you're going to have.
No, it's all mine. All mine.
So, Nicholas was the second. Nicholas II was the Tsar of all Russia. He was a Tsar from 1894 to 1917. Apparently, he was a pretty decent ruler. Like, he tried to implement stuff like civil liberties and literacy programs, shit that would actually make his subjects happier and better off. But World War One and the Russo-Japanese War totally ruined his credibility at the time with the public, and he was ousted by the Bolshevik Revolution. He was forced to abdicate, and he and his family, his wife, the Empress Alexandra, and 5 children, Olga, Tatiana, Maria.
Maria? Yeah.
I can say words. Anastasia and Alexei, his only son, were all imprisoned in a remote 2-story house by the provisional government at the time that had taken over the rule of Russia. So the family was down, but not totally out. Apparently, they took the situation relatively well, all things considered. They didn't seem to entirely realize that their deaths at the hands of the provisional government was extremely likely. Basically, their guards kept telling them that like people were coming to get them that wanted to kill them and etc. So they felt more safe with this guard than they did otherwise. So at 2 a.m. on the 17th of July, 1918, they were woken suddenly and told to get dressed before being moved down to the basement of the house. They were told that the action was for their safety and an anti-Bolshevik force was approaching the area and the house may be in danger of coming under fire. So it wasn't just the family. Alongside them, there was also the Tsar's personal physician, Eugene Botkin, and his wife's maid, Anna Demidova, and the family's chef, Ivan Karnatov, and then a footman who is called just Alexei. I don't know why I didn't put the surname there. I'm very sorry. So they'd chosen to remain with the family. They hadn't been forced into it. They just decided to go along with them. So it was only when they reached the basement that it was announced that the Romanovs had been sentenced to die. They were now to be executed. Stunned, Nicholas asked, What did you say? And then turned towards his family. The order was repeated, and Nicholas said, "You don't know what you do." So this is a lot. So
Yes.
tell me to stop if you need me to.
Never stop. There is no safe word.
There's no safe word. This is not safe. So 7 guards fired upon the family, which immediately became a fucking bloodbath, like instantly. Nicholas did die first. He was shot multiple times in the chest, at least 3. Then Alexandra, who was shot in the head. Maria ran for the doors but was shot in the thigh. The terrible firestorm of men shooting over one another's shoulders in such a compact space lasted several minutes until the room was so filled with smoke and dust that the shooters were forced to stop. It immediately became clear that some of their victims were not dead. All the girls had survived the first hail of bullets. They'd actually sewn the royal jewels into their gowns and bodices as insurance for when they were moved to a safer location, basically to buy their own freedom. A total of 1.3 kilos of diamonds bounced the bullets away from their vital organs. So Olga, Tatiana, Anastasia, and Maria was still alive after that first shooting. So it had been so loud that it woken nearby civilians, and the officers were ordered to stab the children with their bayonets and to also kill the Romanov family dogs with bayonets, which had been locked in the upper floors and would not stop barking from the noise of the shooting.
Fuck, no fucking prisoners.
Yup. Unfortunately, somehow the bayonets did not kill any of the children, and each one had to be shot at point-blank range in the head. All of this took 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
I have a really great photo of the room where it happened, and you can see
Oh, yes.
exactly where they did it. It's very obvious.
Wizardspodcast.com for all of our social links. So you say 20 to 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Put that into like perspective. That's a fucking sitcom episode.
Yup.
That's a long time to just be in the process of being murdered.
Think about when you have to sit through an episode of Big Bang with your mum and dad, and you're just like,
Oh.
when will this end?
That's the same. That's the exact same. There is this the difference between both those things. Nothing.
Nothing
It's
at all.
exactly the same.
But that was the Romanovs' horrible fucking end. So now we can talk about Margaret Pole. So she is the Countess of Salisbury.
Yes.
Technically, she is not royalty, but she is a high-ranking noble, and this was so fucking gross. I had to
Oh,
tell you guys.
Still counts.
Still counts. So Margaret was a lady in waiting to Catherine of Aragon. She was the first wife of Henry VIII, the guy that killed all his wives. The short of it is, she and her family made the mistake of siding with Catherine and the Catholic Church over Henry when he decided to divorce her, because he went ahead and separated the religions so he could basically get a divorce and get away with it and still be good with God. And eventually that led to Henry deciding to get rid of Margaret and her family for good. So Margaret was thrown into the Tower of London alongside her grandson and held there for basically up to 3 years, like 2.5 to 3 years. Yeah, a long fucking time. She was relatively well taken care of, considering it's the Tower of London, because she was nobility. But then, on the 27th of May in 1541, she was taken from her cell and told that she was to die within the hour.
Oh.
Yeah. The 67-year-old, she's not young, just bear this in mind while you're hearing it, was led to the block, either in front of a small private gathering or a crowd as large as 150. The accounts differ of what happened at the day. She was forced down onto her knees, and as Margaret did not know for what crimes she had been accused or found guilty of, she refused to lay her head on the block. She had to be physically held down. My girl, what a badass. And coincidentally, also, the royal executioner was not present that day. He'd been away from court, and a young apprentice was brought in to take the task on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. So the first blow just fucking missed. Like, just so bad. It went into her shoulder and hacked a chunk out. Yup. Margaret, a chunk. At this, supposedly Margaret, again, 67 years old, escaped her captors and ran from the axe. Just bleeding and screaming, like, oh. So the account states that it took 11 blows to kill her and separate her head from her body.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So she may not be a royal, but that's some queen shit.
Right?
Just fucking legging it.
Just
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And because this was in the aid of Catholicism, a lot of the time she's sort of spoken of as like a demi-saint because she was martyred.
Yes.
Oh.
So,
but to add
there's
insult
that.
to injury,
At least there's that.
Yeah, exactly. But to add insult to injury, it may be that she never actually plotted against Henry at all.
No, just by siding with the Catholic Church.
Yep, that was enough.
That was enough. Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. And now we move on to Edward II of England.
Yes!
So, Edward II, you might not have heard much of him. Obviously, Lacey fucking has. He is widely regarded as England's worst king.
So bad, guys.
So
Worst
bad.
king.
Worst king. He ruled from 1307 to 1327, so 20 years. And his reign was marked by opposition from the very start. And eventually his haters grew to include his wife, Isabel of France. He basically squandered his dad's military wins. He got the country in debt as fuck. He fucked around with the poor and the disgraced, one of whom may have been his male lover or multiple of them. And worst of all, he alienated his wife, which would prove to be his undoing. So in 1327, Edward was forced to abdicate over overwhelming opposition. His wife was just like, fuck this shit. She'd made a lover over in France with someone very powerful. I forget who because I didn't write it down because I'm dumb. And essentially he just went, yeah, okay. And he was passed around between a few different prisons, basically forced to live with extremely wealthy cousins and nobles and not really allowed to do that much because he was just a fucking miserable failure at everything. Which is probably my future, until he was transferred to Berkeley Castle. Now, Lord Berkeley had been imprisoned by Edward, and his father had also been imprisoned by Edward and had died while imprisoned by Edward. So the cushy exile that old mate had been experiencing had come to an end. What happened to him at Berkeley is not 100% certain. Historians argue over this shit all the fucking time. But according to some accounts, he was strangled, suffocated, held in a cell above rotting corpses of animals, or thrown into a pit of decayed bodies. Then,
don't forget the poker.
Then, on the 21st of September, 1327, he was held down and a red-hot poker was pushed into his butt. His anus.
Fistula!
And then burning hot iron was poured into his body, melting his inner organs.
Poured into his body?
Into his body. They used like a horn thing. It's called a drenching horn. I don't know what the fuck that means. I should have looked it up.
Drenching horn.
But basically they pushed the poker through that, and I guess it'd be kind of like a funnel. And when they pulled out the poker, they just poured the burning hot lead in there. So that's nice.
They really fucking hated this dude, didn't they?
Well,
Really?
not only, there's a kind of the big reason why he alienated his wife is because he was
possibly homosexual. And that's what this, burning hot iron was supposed to sort of represent. If this happened, this is again another thing that maybe he didn't even die then. If he did die then, maybe he didn't die in this fashion. But a lot of people obviously fucking really did not like dude. He screwed England over pretty badly. And the people that came into power after him really fucking didn't like Edward. So they wanted to make it look like the thing they'd done was fine. So you obviously make it out to be like, oh, he's a homosexual. That's a sin. So we've shoved iron up his asshole. But yeah, his screams could be heard for miles around. It was awful. It was a bad time. So those are all my individual royals. But now I have some fun extras for you because I found this shit and I was just like, I can't not talk about these. This is so fucked up. So this is some shit that has been done because of royals more than anything else. So there was at one time basically a form of execution that was death by boiling.
Can I guess why?
Bath time.
You can if you'd like to.
Didn't they boil poisoners alive?
Oh, yeah, you got it in one. So 1531, the Bishop of Rochester's cook, Richard Roos, fed a bunch of members of nobility with poisoned porridge, which is a shitty fucking dish to die from.
Oh, so bad.
Can you imagine
just porridge killing you? Fucking hell.
Not
It's
even
the most depressing food.
Nice brown sugar probably wasn't even in it either.
No honey, no molasses, no brown sugar. It's just probably fucking gruel. So once again, we hear from King Henry VIII. He brought in a new capital punishment for murderers specifically because of Richard Roos. Anyone that used poison as their weapon of choice, boiling. Because he was terrified of it. He was very nervous to be killed by poison, basically. So Richard Roos was lowered feet first into a vat of boiling oil, and other times when they did this, sometimes they changed it up. Sometimes they used water, wine, wax. Why would you waste good wine? That seems fucking counterproductive, but whatever.
But it's a little bourguignon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like beef bourguignon.
They did this extremely slowly. Really slowly. So I found a fantastic little description from allthat'sinteresting.com.
Yes.
Which I'm just going to read to you straight out because I couldn't do better than this. If the shock of the pain did not render them immediately unconscious, the person would experience the excruciating sensation of their outer layers of skin utterly destroyed by immersion burns dissolving right off their body, followed by a complete breakdown of fatty tissue boiling away underneath.
Oh my god.
Have either of you ever looked at any of the Death at Yellowstone books or anything like that?
Oh
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
That's
they're
my
so
favorite
good.
book at your house.
It's my favorite book as well. So basically, for those who don't know at home, Yellowstone has these fantastic natural hot springs, but they are so fucking hot that people have fallen into them and instantly been boiled alive. It's insanely hot. There's this awful story of this young man who was in his early 20s who had seen his dog jump in, so he just jumped in after it to try and save it. And as soon as he sort of came up for air, because his eyeballs had boiled in his skull and his skin had already started to slough off his body, the last thing he said was, I messed up, didn't I?
Oh shit!
It's so fucked up, dude.
Like the raccoon dropping his fairy floss into the water,
Yeah, he tried to wash
Oh,
it.
it was
just
so
dissolving
sad.
it.
So super fucked up punishment just because Henry VIII is scared of poison. He did
Baby.
have to rescind this 6 years later because people were like, bro, what the fuck? Just please cut their heads off, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, dog. Didn't have to go that hard.
No, we don't need to see this. There's
I'm
actually
sick of
quite a
smelling
few executions.
fried people.
There's a few methods of executions where the people have turned around and been like, bro, no.
Son, are you okay?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What's going on at home?
Side story, in Scotland
Yes.
around 1420, there was a sheriff who was resented for his strictness and was apprehended by some of the other nobles and thrown into a kettle, and afterwards the nobles are said to each have taken a spoonful of the brew.
Boiled man.
Oh man! Spoonful
Sheriff
of human stew.
Tea. Oh god. Bro, you okay?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm fine. Moving on. We have death by elephant.
Oh,
Oh God.
Yeah. So
yep.
basically in like medieval South and Southeast Asian countries, humans were crushed to death, like criminals, by elephants. They were forced to kneel on a block, and their heads were crushed by their feet. Or alternatively, the elephants' tusks were fitted with razor-sharp knives and they were taught to slice people to death.
Oh my god.
I
Yup.
quite like elephants killing people.
I have a fantastic fucking engraving for us to look at this week of exactly this. It's
Yes,
it's
please.
beautiful. I really love it. And now to close us out, to finish off my little segment for you, have either of you heard of the bamboo method?
Oh
Yes.
god.
Yeah?
I've heard of many types of bamboo, but let's
Oh, this one's
see.
really fun. I like it.
Yes.
Supposedly it was used by the Japanese on American prisoners of war, but there's no proof of it. But it had been used in other places at other times, supposedly. So the victim is tied to a frame over a crop of brand new shoots of bamboo. Now, yeah. So bamboo tips are extremely sharp. I actually didn't know this, but they look kind of like the size and shape of corn cobs, but much sharper at the tip. So bamboo can grow up to 3 feet in 24 hours. Yeah. Some species around about 4 centimeters per hour. But basically, the victim is very slowly impaled on multiple fat, sharp shoots of bamboo.
Usually up the anus as well.
Yeah.
all
We've
this
had a very
anal
anus-
fixation.
Yeah, we really
Centric
have.
episode.
Butt stuff. Fuck.
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
Holy shit.
Is this the new thing? So there's no proof and evidence of this happening in World War II, but it has been recorded in the 1800s in Sri Lanka and Thailand. And there is a Mythbusters episode on it. They confirmed it could be done with ballistics jelly. Basically, it's the same sort of like makeup as the human body. They're like, yeah, this could happen. It could be done, but it doesn't mean that it was necessarily. So,
Yeah.
what do you prefer? Do you want it to have happened? You don't want it to have happened? Whatever you
I
want.
don't put it past them. If they're gonna be boiling people in oil and fucking pouring hot iron down someone's throat, they're gonna be like planting a garden right underneath them.
Yeah, why not?
Fuck.
Beautiful.
That's
It's good
good.
for roses. So that's me this week. Obviously my sources are in the show notes, but there is one YouTube channel that I really wanted to bring up just because it's had really excellent videos that I used. It's called The Untold Past.
Ooh.
We'll include a link to it in the show notes, but highly recommend. Really cool videos on executions in particular. The grossest, the weirdest. Fantastic time.
Good.
All the
Excellent.
reasons you are here. The grossest and the weirdest.
Exactly. That's what we are,
Yes.
the grossest and the weirdest.
Dude, excellent. Thank you. Holy shit.
Thank you.
I learnt so many new things. Don't piss me off.
Should I be disturbed that I knew all of that, like everything?
I'd be disturbed if you didn't.
Yeah,
I feel like that's big in your wheelhouse.
exactly. I'm really pleased that you knew all of them.
Each reaction at each name was just like the perfect opener. I'm like, oh, okay, she went up this many octaves and it was sharp at this end. So this means it's going to be really fucked up.
We are in for a good time.
Yay! All right, my turn.
Yeah.
Mate, take it away.
Please regale us.
The sun rises and sets. And then
The rise of the Moon King begins. So, when I heard Tay was doing the Sun King, I of course had to do the Moon King. King Ludwig II, the Moon King, the Swan King, the Fairy Tale King, and finally the Mad King.
Into
so
it.
many titles.
I think I read a little bit about this dude when I was doing my research. I'm excited.
Yeah, he's
Fine.
he's so as I explained to Tay beforehand, this is more like, rather than gore, it's just whimsically crazy. A nice ender.
That's nice.
A palate cleanser after that.
All the butt stuff.
All of
really.
Actually, this does include some butt stuff.
Okay. This is the aftercare.
This is the aftercare.
Which is important. Do not skip out on
Yes.
it.
Okay. So also the names, all these German names are great. All right, here we go. Ludwig Otto Friedrich Wilhelm II was born, the eldest son of Maximilian II of Bavaria and the Princess Marie of Prussia, on August 24th, 1845. Ludwig's birth certificate, however, reads August 25. This was altered to further associate Ludwig's namesake, his grandfather, the then reigning king of Bavaria, Ludwig I, who, fun fact, Ludwig I's godfather was Louis XVI.
Ooh.
And Ludwig is the German of Louis.
So much incest. So much incest. Love it. Fantastic. How's that hemophilia going?
Actually, these ones didn't have hemophilia because...
Ooh. Did they have the Habsburg jaw?
No, they didn't. Not yet. That's in... that's later.
Ah, I see.
No, earlier. Anyway.
Oh, I was going to say.
So Ludwig I was probably not the best namesake to be associated with, as he would eventually be forced to give up his throne and end up dying in exile in France somewhere. Ludwig I was also a very famous womanizer, and he had 11 children outside of wedlock that I can find. And they were just the ones that he gave titles to. So the womanizing trait was not passed down to his grandson. But like his grandfather, Ludwig II dedicated much of his reign to his creative interests rather than ruling the nation. Ludwig and his younger brother Otto spent their childhood surrounded by servants and teachers at Hohenschwangau Schloss. Thank you. A yellow Gothic revival castle in the Bavarian Alps, which is painted on the inside with frescoes depicting German fairy tales.
Oh, awesome.
Young Ludwig particularly identified with Lohengrin, a legendary knight of the Holy Grail who travelled on a boat pulled by swans.
Oh, that's cute.
This is where his swan obsession started.
Oh,
his parents were distant and formal. They were at a complete loss as to how to talk to their own children, and often actively ignored and avoided them.
Sounds like what I would do.
Their mother only took an interest in what the brothers wore. She ordered that Ludwig always be dressed in blue and for Otto always to wear red.
Okay.
Ludwig summed up his relationship to both his parents later on in life when he affectionately called his mother my predecessor's consort.
Jesus.
That is ice cold. I love it.
So savage. Amazing. So the very strict aristocratic upbringing that was supposed to mold him into the perfect successor completely backfired, and Ludwig was utterly disinterested in politics. At heart, he was a dreamer with a vivid imagination and a flair for the dramatic. Ludwig once told his governess, quote, "I want to remain an eternal mystery to myself and others," unquote.
That's awesome.
He was
Good on him.
obsessed with music, poetry, and art, and one of his most prized possessions as a child was a picture book of scenes from medieval legends.
Oh, he's just like every other kid that grew up in the 90s with fucking dragonology and
Yeah, that's him.
Egyptology books.
That's him.
Hey, don't
Oh,
call me out
bless
like
him.
this. Fucking hell.
He's a millennial.
He is. He totally is. When the Crown Prince was 15, he attended an opera to see a performance of Lohengrin, that famous Night by Swan Night, by Wagner, and was so moved that he cried. He then dedicated his life to being Wagner's biggest fanboy.
Oh, bless him. Wagner Stan.
When Ludwig's father suddenly died in 1864, Ludwig was thrust into power at only 18 years old. Unprepared and uninterested for any serious political leadership, the first thing he did as a king was summon his musical idol Wagner to Munich to go to do an opera festival.
Oh.
Why not, eh?
So if we were casting Ludwig II, I would cast circa 1994 Christian Bale when he was in Little Women with the floofy dark hair.
I haven't seen that. I'm sorry.
He was very handsome.
Very handsome.
Christian Bale's just, he's
Yeah.
classically attractive.
Yeah, but like 1994 Christian Bale.
Oh, I'll have to Google it later.
It's nice. It's a good time.
Okay.
Specifically, I need to be specific about this. All right. So Wagner, at the time of this summoning, was hiding from his creditors. He was in a fuckload of debt. But now he had the King of Bavaria settle his debts and bankroll every artistic endeavor he ever wanted to pursue.
Look, genius.
Absolute dream.
Follow me on Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh, mega Patreon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, this is from Wagner talking about his first meeting with Ludwig. Quote, "Today I was brought to him. He is unfortunately so beautiful and wise, soulful and lordly, that I fear his life must fade away like a divine dream in this basic world. You cannot imagine the magic of his regard. If he remains alive, it will be a great miracle." Unquote.
Jesus.
That's heartfelt.
Yeah. So Wagner was a welcome guest at the palace until he started meddling in Bavarian politics. Wagner was a massive anti-Semite.
Oh, shit. He's cancelled.
A view that King Ludwig didn't share. He was pro-Jew or neutral Jew, didn't think they were evil or whatever. So Wagner, with this big anti-Semite vibe, was eventually chased out of Germany. So Ludwig built him a house in Switzerland for him to live instead and continue to bankroll him.
Oh God, never meet your heroes. This is just like, oh no, I don't read this cancelled individual's media, and then just does it in secret.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's address the big gay elephant in the room. It was only recently, like in the past probably 10 years, that the German government has stated publicly that King Ludwig II was probably gay.
Okay.
When you take a tour of the castle, the guides used to get really like weird when you used to ask them about it, and you just do it for fun.
I just work here, man. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
So Wagner is known to be Ludwig's first love, but this love was unrequited. When propositioned by the king, Wagner basically said, "Thank you, but no thank you."
Thanks, but no thanks, babe.
Yeah. But fear not, Ludwig still got it. He had several other male lovers, including another prince, which I love a lot.
Ooh.
He was engaged to his cousin Sophie, the Duchess of Bavaria, but after several postponements, the engagement was finally broken off in the October of the same year. No reason was ever announced, but Ludwig did, we know why. Ludwig did admit in one letter to Sophia that the only thing they really had in common was the mutual love of Wagner.
Oh God.
I love it. So, what happened was, in 1866, Bavarian Austria suffered a humiliating defeat to Prussia.
Hmm.
The Kingdom of Bavaria was no longer independent, and basically Ludwig was stripped of all power and remained a figurehead out of this, like, you know, like archaic sovereignty that had no power, and they kind of just like changed all the staff but left him to be like, oh look, we still, hello peasants, your king is still on the throne, so we're good, we're not invading you, that kind of thing.
It's fine.
So Ludwig had a massive fantasy problem, like huge daydreamer.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of saw himself as this chosen by God kind of vibe. He fucking vibed so hard with the Sun King. He was like, all of the shit. He was like, I must have my own world to rule because I can't rule Bavaria anymore. He wasn't really doing a good job anyway. So
No.
after this war, it was then historians believe that Ludwig fully retreated into his fantasy and he began to build Neuschwanstein.
Maladaptive
Ooh.
daydreaming with money.
Ooh.
So an ambitious palace in the Alps completely dedicated to Wagner. An
Oh,
alternate
God.
reality where he could play out his operatic daydreams of Christian knights and magical swans. Ludwig grew increasingly reclusive. He slept during the day and wandered the castle at night, which means all of his staff had to cook him breakfast at like 6 p.m. And like he hired musicians and actors for private concerts and operas just for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And during Bavaria's snowy winters, he'd journey out for nighttime sleigh rides in an elaborate custom-made sleigh. A lot of the times he wore medieval costume.
Oh, God.
He's a cosplayer.
He's just a dude with a Tumblr and a DeviantArt vis-a-vis like 2009.
Oh,
Yeah, this is exactly-
amazing. It's a
he's-
vampire freak, man.
So despite all this weirdness,
Mm-hmm.
his subjects still loved their dreamy romantic king.
I love him.
Broodingly handsome, and during his sleigh rides, he would often give gifts and large sums of money to farmers he met along the way. So he was like this like ideal romantic hero figure for the Bavarian people. So even though he fucking failed as a king, still loved him. So it took 25 years to build Neuschwanstein, or as it is known, the Disney Castle,
Oh.
as Disney used the castle for inspiration for the 2 theme parks in Disneyland and Disney World. It also appears as the castle in the animated Beauty and the Beast, the
Oh,
Beast
that's
Castle.
Ah.
And also another reason why he must have been so beloved amongst the people. It created 20 years or 25 years of steady work for 300 Bavarian builders.
Oh,
Nice.
mate. King shit, we stan.
It took 14 carpenters 4 years just to finish the woodwork in Ludwig's bedroom.
Oh my God.
And
This dude
not
has
o-
more money than sense, and I love it.
Not only were all of these workers insured, but they also received a pension.
Oh my God. Yes.
What the
Mwah.
fuck?
Mwah.
People in fucking America don't have that.
So Neuschwanstein covers an estimated 65,000 square feet. It clings to a cliff in the Alps. And also he made sure it was built higher than his father's castle,
Oh, yeah.
Naturally.
Oh, yeah.
which is the one he grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
Dick measuring contest.
Mine's bigger than daddy's.
Yes, mine's bigger than daddy's. An inventory of building materials estimated 465 tons of marble per year.
Holy shit. Per year.
Yeah. Neuschwanstein also had power generators, electric lights, running waters, flushing toilets, and telephone lines.
When did you say this was again?
1870s?
Oh my God.
Man, I'm so bad at like when were things available in time, because sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, fair enough, and then other times I'm like, what? No, that's only 50 years ago that happened, and then it's not. It's really obviously not. I'm just stupid.
What is time? What is
a
time?
construct?
I do have a picture of the castle. It's up on the chat.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
It'll also be on the Instagram.
Yay.
So, because from the outside it looks like it's been there since the 13th century.
Oh,
but
it's amazing.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
that's
I'm
gorgeous.
going to deep dive far more into this afterwards. This
Oh,
is
it's
really
beautiful. Look at that little courtyard with the big cliffside. I like it.
Mhm. And
It
also
is big.
above that is the kookaburra with the mouse.
I did see that. That's fucked up. I like that too. Thank you, Berlin.
That's okay. Excellent. There was even an automated lift in the dining room
Oh,
that could be raised and lowered the dining table from below so that he would never have to see the servants set the table because he didn't like to see the servants. So there's all these little hidey holes that they would dart into when they saw him coming.
it's Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's like all the tunnels they have under Disneyland, so no one ever sees the
Princesses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Holy
love
shit.
it. That's amazing.
Yeah. So his the swan motif from the opera of Lohengrin is carried out in fixtures etched in glass windows, glazed porcelain replicas of swans,
Jesus Christ.
and even the comforters on the bed are filled with swan feathers rather than goose feathers.
I love them so much. Murder them.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So, of course, Wagner's operas are all throughout frescoes throughout the castle. So, what musical person would you paint all of their songs on the walls?
My Chemical Romance.
Really?
Me personally? Oh, fuck.
Welcome to the Black Parade, baby.
Oh,
I don't know. I have a couple of bands that I like have an undying love for, but some of them are problematic now, unfortunately. Why do so many fucking artists have to come out and be scum? Why?
I
Mate.
know.
Ludwig can relate.
Yeah.
He knows my
Yeah,
pain.
fucking-
Jesse Lacey, why? I know you told us in all your songs that you were a piece of shit for years and I didn't listen, but why?
We
That's
didn't listen.
McFly, isn't it?
Pardon?
Is that McFly?
No, that's brand new.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Bam,
Love me
bam.
some brand new. I would probably have a lot of Deftones on the walls because it's good vibes. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I would do
Cool.
probably Florence and the Machine.
Oh,
nice.
excellent answer.
Maybe for Yanya, that's another good one. I can't stop listening to her. She's great.
Aurora,
Perfect.
little fjord nymph.
Yay.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yes.
So, understandably,
Yes.
this luxury cost a lot of money.
No shit.
Money moves.
Ludwig paid for his Neuschwanstein as well as his 4 other castles
4 other castles.
with
Fuck.
his own private income. He never taxed the people.
Oh,
So-
OnlyFans.
Oh, I
Okay.
love him.
He built 5 castles. Neuschwanstein is the biggest, the best, the greatest. The other ones are one's like a mini Versailles. And
Oh,
one's like and they're all different depending on what he
Because-
wanted to do, like a summer house and things like that.
because he loves Sun King, Versailles.
Mm.
Mate.
And there's actually a board game that you build as many castles as you can. It's called like Mad King Ludwig's Castle thing.
Oh my god.
Bad
we should
taste,
sit
but it's apparently a really fun game.
That's amazing.
So private income never from the people, but as the costs escalated, he began to seek out loans from private like bankers and things like that. He even sought a loan from the Bavarian government, which declined the request.
down. Fair.
So Ludwig's personal debt reached more than 14 million marks, which was enough for his creditors to seize possession of his castle.
Oof.
No.
Not the castle.
Now,
Who else
I
is
did
gonna want to
some-
live there?
I know. Oh, it's so gorgeous. You can't actually, I've been there, you can't take pictures on the inside.
Why? You're not allowed?
And no, you're not allowed.
Oh,
Excuse me, is this the Ghibli Museum?
It is. It is the Ghibli Museum of Germany.
that is
Fuck me.
rude, cunt.
But on the outside, you can take as many as you want.
Hey.
Some Bavarian guard like, no, ma'am, you cannot take photos. Hey!
No, you'd just be like, 9!
Yeah, just smack your camera out of your hand, stamp
Yeah.
on it.
I'll
Yeah.
cry.
Look, fair. Understandable. I don't like dealing with tourists either.
No.
Especially me as a tourist. That would be just awful.
If I go to a place, I do as much like research as possible so I don't look like a tourist.
Smart. That's good.
Mm.
That's excellent.
That's how you don't get mugged. But I've been mugged twice, so I learned the hard way.
What?
Okay.
Oh my
That's
God.
scary. Ooh.
So let it be known that I did some serious fucking math to try and figure out what 14 million marks was in today's money, considering that the German Deutschmark does no longer exists.
Oh shit. Okay.
So I did some serious math.
Oh, I'm so impressed with you.
Failed at it.
Oh, okay.
Asked my husband,
Thanks,
who
man.
then did some really serious math, and there was even a spreadsheet involved.
Oh my God, come through.
Man.
That's king shit.
And anyway, so 14 million marks in today's money is 58,267,770 AUD.
Holy
That'll do it.
shit. Thank you, Mitch.
That'll do it.
I'll never
$30
remember that number, but I'm very impressed with you.
Like 58 million. 58 million.
Yay.
So naturally, his ministers began taking steps to remove him from the throne.
As you would.
The best way of doing this was declaring him insane. The ministers assembled a team of psychiatric assessors led by Dr. Bernhard von Guten,
Good name.
who quickly ascertained that Ludwig was mentally unsound. Though he had never spoken with Ludwig personally, the ministers had compiled a list of observations and a lot of unfound rumours that proved that Ludwig was mentally unfit. This list included his habit of wearing a coat in the summer.
He's just an emo kid.
The same coat, this same grey coat. He used to wear it all the time.
It's this ugly, beaten up piece of shit that your mum keeps trying to throw out and you somehow smuggle back out of the fucking bin every time.
No, Mum. It matches my demonia boots perfectly.
And then 5 years later, you look back at your Facebook memories and go, who the fuck let me wear that? Oh.
Eating outdoors in winter, rough manner with his servants, and exorbitant and reckless spending as well.
Rough manner with his servants does not seem that unusual for any noble.
I think it was because he didn't want to see them. They weren't allowed to be there. That was a quite unusual thing. I had a look at the list of shit. They were like, fine. But what they didn't have on the list was his weird, he had this statue of Marie Antoinette that he used to caress and kiss. He also eventually started wanting the dinner table set for her.
Okay.
And he used to talk to it.
Looks
But
like
that wasn't on the
mental
list.
Illness going on here.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like there's people that will set up a dinner for their like anime waifu in front of their monitor.
this is exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. Just had a Marie Antoinette body pillow.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense now.
So, obviously, he was declared insane. When he was arrested, Ludwig said to von Guten, "How dare you declare me insane? You've never examined me before."
Smart.
Which is a point.
Yeah.
But that didn't matter. The ministers had already decided that the monarch would be imprisoned in the Berg Castle, which is a little bit out of the way from Munich. And it had already been refitted with barred windows and doors that only could be opened from the outside.
Oh.
So before he was arrested, they'd organised this.
Jesus.
Presumptuous of them.
They were like, he's definitely crazy. Let's just go ahead.
So 3 days later, on the 13th of June, 1885, at 6 p.m., Ludwig asked to go for a walk around the lake as his daily exercise. So he set off with one of his psychiatrists, that Dr. Van Guten, who must have been his best friend at that time. But by 8 p.m., the men had not returned.
Oh.
The search party was formed, and both men were eventually found dead, floating in shallow water.
Is he okay?
Oh no.
Is
The
he
swan.
okay? No, he's dead.
Oh.
Ludwig's death was officially declared suicide by drowning. But despite the autopsy saying there was no water in his lungs,
Oh, wow.
and Ludwig's renowned for being an incredibly strong swimmer.
And there's 2 of them that have died.
Yep. But there was so Dr. Van Guten had been hit around the head and had a broken fingernail, but his death certificate also said he died of drowning. Now, what is the key fucking point there? They were found floating in shallow water. Drowned bodies don't float.
No, they've already got the lungs aren't filled with air. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Learning all the time. So,
Oh, he was
Um,
murdered. That
We
makes
know
me sad.
true crime.
we know true crime.
No shit.
So, after his death, his brother Otto, remember
boy.
him? He became King Otto the First, even
I don't
though
give a
he
fuck.
was already declared insane because of that. The war against Prussia, he fought in it and had got crazy fucking PTSD and never recovered when he was 18 and just never recovered from this.
Oh, honey, poor
Fucking
thing.
hell.
But because he was already sort of insane, but he was sort of amiable to be a puppet king, it was sort of fine.
Yeah, he's the different kind of crazy. We can deal with this.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty
it's
much.
sad.
So Ludwig only ended up spending 11 days in his Neuschwanstein castle.
Oh, Ludwig!
No. It took so long to build.
Yeah, covered. It's all in swans and it's blue. Like, you know, he always wore blue as a kid, and I think
It's
that's
his
kind of
castle. It was made for
come through.
him.
This is fucking tragic. I am distraught.
Yeah. So, the official thing is drowning. That's definitely what happened. He tried to kill himself. The doctor tried to stop him, so he killed the doctor by drowning him, and then went and drowned himself in probably about, hip deep water.
There's way easier ways to kill yourself too, dude.
Like, yeah. Yes. Yes.
But the true cause of his death may have been revealed.
Oh.
In a sworn affidavit issued in 2007,
2007.
Mr. Dyatlov Utemorel recalled a scene from his childhood in which he remembers vividly.
Oh.
As a 10-year-old, he and his mother were invited to afternoon coffee and cakes with Countess Josephine von Werber-Counts, who looked after the royal family's old assets and possessions in her house. Mr. Utemorel recalled how the Countess gathered her guests, telling them in a hushed tone, "Now you will find out the truth about Ludwig's death. I will show you the coat he wore on the day he died." The Countess opened up a chest and pulled out a grey Loden coat. Remember the one he would never take off?
Yes.
Morgoth coat.
The Countess held up the coat so that her guests could see 2 neat bullet holes in its back.
Oh no, Ludwig.
And that is the story of King Ludwig II, Moon King, Swan King, the Fairy Tale King, the Mad King.
Oh my god,
I'm so depressed. Buddy,
so good.
you weren't you were hurting some people, but you weren't hurting too many people as far as royals go.
No, it was just spending money.
Yeah, just fucking
Spending
around.
money making his big fanboy castle.
Just more money than sense. His little DeviantArt account.
Oh, his
Taking
cosplay
shade.
photos.
Mm-hmm.
My heart, it bleeds. So pure.
Well, that was a downer, but thank you. I
No,
really
it
liked
was
that. That was a lot of fun.
It was very much a cleanser.
Especially
After all
considering
the
how gross the two of us went.
I know.
grots, aren't
know.
we?
when you guys started, I was like, oh fuck, they're not gonna like my story.
No, it's
I love your story. I have
Right.
varied interests. Thank you very much. I don't just like anal things.
Another thing is Neuschwanstein Castle has paid for itself hundreds of times over. It receives pre-COVID about 6,000 tourists a day.
Holy
Fuck.
shit.
It is Disneyland.
It is Disneyland.
I mean, I want to go.
I want to go.
Also, I have a little bit of a dark additive to it.
Yes.
They don't tell you on the tour.
Yes.
So Neuschwanstein's part during World War II was to store all the art and gold pillaged by Jewish families, and when Germany took over France, all of the furniture and paintings and everything like that was stored in the castle.
Fuck. All right.
And there was, quote, acres of art and furniture in the castle. Basically, Hitler, who loved art, was going to make the whole place a museum.
Hmm.
Well, if any place to do it, there.
And the reason why the castle wasn't bombed by the Allied forces was because, like, it wasn't a factory. You know, it wasn't going to help them win the war.
No.
It was just a castle.
Oh, thank God.
So,
I mean, it's not been made to repel an enemy either.
No, it wasn't. It's not a fortress at all. Like, it's just beautiful.
Oh,
Well,
dude.
that was amazing. Thank you.
That was great. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay.
It feels strange to end an episode not wanting to be sick.
Yeah, right.
I've forgotten all about the fistula until now.
How could you forget the fistula?
Mate.
Oh, well, that was lovely and varied. I really enjoyed that. Thank you, team.
Yeah. Good hustle. Sources and extracurricular reading all in the show notes.
Yes.
All visual cues on our Instagram and Facebook. You can find those at weirdsisters.com. Weirdsistspodcast.com. Weirdsisters.com? I say this every week and I've forgotten our URL. You'll find it.
We're really good at this, we promise.
Well, Rotten Royals.
That was really good. I had a great time.
Yes.
I liked that.
Yeah.
That was nice. Get out of my house. I'm done with you people now.
Get out of the house. Get out of our castle. Get on your horse. Alrighty. Goodbye, my loves.
Goodbye. Thank you, team.
Bye.
Bye.